Today is the 500 subscriber Q&A. Now this video is going to be long, so sit back and relax. I have my laptop right here. I'm going to scroll down through all the comments and answer all of them. There are 29 comments, so this video may be a little bit longer, but I will get to each and every one of your comments. Thank you guys so much again for 500 subscribers. It truly means a lot to me, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So now let's get into the comments and answer some questions. So the first comment comes from William. He says, are you going to continue this channel when you go to college? And then in parentheses, like the athlete special. Yes, I will be continuing I plan to continue this channel in college. I'm not sure how it'll go over. I got to make sure it's cool with everyone there. I'm not just going to be going around recording everyone and stuff like that. But yeah, I do plan 100% to continue this channel in college. I think the content will actually get a lot better in college, in my opinion. College races, stuff like that, college workouts, I want to record all that stuff. So yeah, I plan to continue this in college. Maxwell asks, what do you do for recovery routines, ice rolling, strengthening, etc.? So yeah, I basically, as far as, we'll just go through everything I do. So I foam roll a ton. For strengthening stuff, I do 100 push-ups a day, 100 sit-ups a day, core routines, hip mobility stuff, strengthening like stretches. I actually have a routine that I may upload a video on. It consists of me standing on a exercise ball and kind of doing some strengthening stuff with my legs. As far as like ice baths and stuff like that, I do take ice baths and Epsom salts baths. Usually ice baths and stuff like that after hard workouts, long runs, stuff like that. And basically I do those whenever I feel like crap, pretty much. Whenever I'm not feeling great, I'll hop in either an Epsom salts bath or an ice bath. I think they both work wonders. But yeah, as far as that question goes, that's basically everything I do. Life on the Run asks, how did you grow on YouTube as a runner? Now, I'm not really sure how to answer this question because I'm not really sure how I did grow. Like I said many times before, I basically just made this channel to kind of make my training interesting again. I was in a rut in running. Running alone gets boring after a little bit, and I wanted to do something different to kind of, get my love for running back. So I started recording my stuff and uploading it to YouTube. At first, I wasn't getting a great amount of views. Like anyone that starts out on YouTube, you're not going to have instant growth. And then I started uploading consistently and had a few videos that kind of blew up a little bit, especially like shoe reviews and watch reviews and stuff like that. Those blew up, and then I think that's kind of what got my channel rolling a little bit. And then plus, I started uploading like races and stuff like that, and not a lot of people upload stuff like that. So that's what I think a big thing is. If you look at like vlogging, video games and stuff like that, there is so many people that do it, but as far as like running content goes, there's not a ton of people that do that kind of stuff. So I think with like that being slim as far as the amount of people doing it, I definitely it was easier to grow, and I'm actually really surprised on how much this has grown, especially in the last like month. All of my stuff, watch time, views, subscribers, likes, comments, everything has gone up like a tremendous amount. So as far as how I did it, I guess just consistent uploading. I've definitely uploaded a ton recently, and it seems to help my channel a ton. So that, and just basically like not quitting. Honestly, it's pretty hard to keep doing it after like a few months of just not having any growth. But at the end of the day, this wasn't something I planned on becoming quote-unquote famous, if that's what you want to say. And it was basically just something to make my training more interesting, and then it happened to do this, so yeah. Ethan asks, other than running in school, what do you typically do during the day? I play a lot of video games. I play Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty. Rocket League is another big game that I play. I watch a ton of YouTube. Like, it is absolutely insane how much YouTube I watch. I watch everything from running to gaming to vlogs. I literally watch everything. I hardly ever turn on the TV. I watch a ton of YouTube. I watch a lot of like TV series, stuff like The Office and stuff like that. I do that. I hang out with friends sometimes, but yeah, that's basically it. Tree Trunk Games asks, when did colleges start reaching out to you? Now, this is it's probably different for me than everyone else because I wasn't very good, definitely not D1 caliber until my senior year. I played two sports in the fall, so my cross country times they weren't great. I wouldn't say they were bad, they were definitely good, but they weren't great. I was a 17-minute 5K guy in junior year of high school, so that definitely wasn't getting me any Division One looks. But then definitely during my cross country senior year, is when I started to get looks. I started to win a lot of good races. Made it to the state meet, ended up running a 15:59 time in cross country. So that's kind of when school started reaching out to me and talking to me, and that's when honestly it's not a lot of schools reaching out to you either. Yeah, in cross country you're definitely going to have to reach out to schools yourself. So I started emailing a ton of coaches after cross country and during cross country when I was having the success, and a lot of coaches started reaching back out to me. So that's kind of when all that went down. Hypixel said, how fast were you in your early days, like middle and early high school? How much do you think being a natural talent distance runner affects how good someone could be? So I'll start out with the first part of that question. How fast was I? In middle school, I didn't even really run. I did participate in cross country, but I wasn't fast. In middle school, it was a 2 mile race, and I think I was like a 14-minute at best 2 miler. And then, excuse me, in early high school, freshman year, I was fifth on the team. I was, my first race, I broke 20 minutes in the 5K, and I was super stoked about it. I ran 19:58, I believe. And then track that year was my first year doing track my freshman year. I was an 11:32 miler and a 5:15 miler. I don't even think I got to run the 800 because I wasn't good enough. But I definitely wasn't a natural talent. As far as natural talent and how it affects how good someone can be, I honestly think natural talent is kind of, I don't know how to word it, but I don't think it's great for you. I feel like you don't have to work as hard to get things, and eventually, hard work is going to catch up to your natural talent, especially in college. You can be a natural talent and win every race in high school, and then you get to college and you're going to get on a college training plan and you're going to be around guys that are just as good as you. And I feel like it can beat someone down mentally if it does not physically. I feel like once you actually have to start training really hard because you're going to have to get better, I feel like a lot of people get hurt that are natural talents. I feel like they don't do a ton in high school. Go to college and kind of get on this big training plan and end up getting injured. But that's definitely not for every case. There's definitely some guys that are natural talents that are absolutely fantastic all the way through college, ended up running pro and stuff like that. I have nothing against natural talented people by any means. I personally just wasn't one, but that's how I feel like it can affect you going into college and stuff like that. Young Running says, how do you breathe when running long distances? I guess I breathe through my mouth and out my mouth, if that's how you wanted me to answer that question. If not, I'm sorry. Michael says, what was your hardest long run you've ever done in your entire life? Let's see. This is all off the top of the head. I haven't looked at these at all, so I kind of have to think of these on the spot. I have two loops in mind. I have a loop here around my house. It's 11.3 miles, and it's the first 2 miles are straight uphill. Then there's a bunch of rolling hills, and then mile 9 is straight downhill and super fast. If I find some Strava stuff, I'll actually throw it up on screen because I've actually got after it on this run. I actually think I did it during cross-country season. Actually, I think I did it during the winter block of training that I had, and I got after it, and it was a really hard run, but really enjoyable. There's some segments on there I went for. And then another one that pops up into my mind, it's called Picnic Point. It's at a local college kind of near me, probably an hour away. And it is pretty much the same thing. First 2 miles straight uphill, then rolling hills, miles 3 to 8. And then the last 2 miles are straight downhill. That was a super hard run too. Also got after it on that run. I'm known for getting after it on my long runs. I love going fast on long runs. But yeah, those are definitely the two that come into mind. I'll throw up the Strava stuff just so you guys can see elevation gain and stuff like that if I can find it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. Avery asks, what was the hardest thing you had to overcome during cross country and track season? So I'm guessing he's asking all throughout high school, not just this season. This season I didn't really have a lot to overcome, but during track season one year, it was like the week before like our first race. I was doing a workout. I think it was something easy too, just to kind of get me tuned up for our first meet. I think it was like minute on, minute off, and I was like on my second rep, and something didn't feel right towards my Achilles, and it got tighter and tighter for each step. And then on like the fifth step, it ended up popping, and I literally just fell down. Like I couldn't walk anymore. It was Achilles tendonitis issues. Basically, my calf was just so tight that it was a pulling on that Achilles super hard, and eventually it just kind of like snapped. Had to basically be carried all the way back to the high school, which we were about like a mile away. So that sucked, and I couldn't even like walk hardly. The next, I basically tried to run on it the next day. It didn't work. Tried to run on it the day after that. Finally, I just gave up and said, I'm just going to take a week off. It's the start of the season. It's not going to be that bad. But it definitely beat me up pretty hard mentally. Ended up coming back, though, and doing great that track season. But it was definitely something to overcome. But yeah, I took a week off, and then it was fine. As far as cross country goes, I'm not really sure of anything I've had to overcome. Definitely something that was super hard for me. Actually, yeah, this is probably the answer to that. My junior year, I was still playing soccer and running cross country in the fall season, and basically just had the worst like year in both of those sports. I was trying to go to school all day. After school, go to an hour and a half of cross country practice, and then literally right after cross country practice, go over to a 2 hour soccer practice. And then we had two soccer games a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and then I would have a race on Saturday for cross country. And I was basically just awful. I wouldn't say awful, but I was not performing like I used to in either sport. And at the end of the year, the end of my junior year of that fall season, I had to make a decision on what I wanted to do. And it was almost basically the time I quit cross country. It was down to either I picked cross country or I picked soccer. And I had to go with one of them because I knew if I didn't, I would just kind of be average at both and not really excel in either one of those. Ended up picking cross country though, and the rest is history. But yeah, that was basically a pretty hard time during cross country season. Hi Pixel asked another question. He says, so I'm preparing a 20-week training schedule at about 35 miles per week for summer and through my XC season to a peak race in November. I'm going into 9th grade, and I was wondering if you think 20 weeks would be too long to be training consistently. If we're being honest, guys, it's kind of hard for me to answer questions like this just because I personally don't know you, and it's personally hard for me to tell you kind of what to do. This is definitely a question I would ask my coach. For me personally, I think 20 weeks is kind of excessive. I think it's pretty long. But I have no idea. Like what you're capable of, what you've ran. I know nothing like that. So it's really hard for me to answer these questions. I try to do my best. I've been getting a lot of comments and like DMs on Instagram and stuff like that. And I do try my best, but at the end of the day, I don't want you guys to rely on me as kind of like a coach. I definitely think you need to talk to your coach about this, just because he sees you practically all the time, and he knows what you're capable of and kind of what to do there. So that's kind of my answer on that. This person asked, my PR as a freshman for the 5K was 18:58 and 5:18 for the mile. Okay. With enough dedication to running, do you think it would be possible for me to get to low 15s in the 5K my senior year? So this is a question that kind of relates to me, honestly, because my freshman year, my 5K PR was like 18:40 something, and my mile was around the same thing, and I got to 15:59. I definitely think I was in better shape than 15:59. I had terrible weather almost every race of my cross-country season. I don't want to by any means make excuses, but I definitely think I was like a 15:30 guy. But yeah, with enough dedication to running, especially if you get into it now, as a freshman, so I'm not really sure how old you are. I'm guessing you're going into like sophomore year. But definitely, I think, especially if you get under it now, I didn't start fully running until my junior year. So I basically had a year, almost like 6 months until, and I dropped my 5K time to 17 flat to 15:59. So I think if you get on the train now and start that dedication now, going into sophomore year, I think you can be amazing by your senior year. And that goes for everyone. Seriously, if you get some dedication and sacrifice a few things, I think anyone can be in the position I'm in or even better. This person asked 2 questions, so I'll just read them both. What injuries have you had and have you battled, and how have you battled them? And what famous runners do you look up to / are role models to you? So I kind of answered the injury ones already. Basically, the only injury I've ever had was my Achilles tendonitis issues. That's basically, yeah, that's my only injury ever. Knock on wood that I don't get any more. But definitely was a hard time, but just took some time off. And kind of, when you get injured, you kind of really have to like imagine yourself as like coming back, because if it's hard to like not get in a rut when you're injured, not being able to run, but really you have to look at like the bigger picture as like, you're healing and eventually you're going to be back. And what famous runners do I look up to? I have a lot of, runners that I, watch consistently and kind of follow. The main one being Parker Stinson. I really love Parker Stinson. He actually follows me on Instagram, and I actually won this bracelet off one of his Instagram giveaways. He's a great dude. Groups like the 10-Man Elite and the NAZ Elite or NAZ Elite out of Flagstaff, both really cool teams. Scott Fauble that runs for the NAZ Elite, I love him. But yeah, that's basically famous runners I look up to. Honestly, I follow a ton of runners. Big fan of the Nike Oregon Project too. Follow a ton of different running groups and stuff like that. This is a long one. Let's see here. Congrats on your sub 15 5K. I saw that on Strava. If you guys haven't seen that video, uploaded that a few days ago. I did run a 14:58 5K. He said, I noticed that between your junior and senior year, you dropped over a minute from your 5K time. My question is, how many miles a week were you running junior year and miles a week senior year during cross country? And how did you build up to those miles without getting injured? And did you follow any rules, 10% rule, down weeks, etc.? Are you injury prone? Okay, so there's definitely a few questions in here. I'll try not to miss any. How many miles did you run during junior year? So junior year, I was probably running about 40 miles a week. And then senior year during cross country, I was probably around, I know during the summer coming into my senior year, I peaked at 70, but probably during the season in cross country, I was probably around 65. How did I build up to those miles? Any rules I followed without getting injured? I didn't follow any rules. I haven't done down weeks. I know I'll do down weeks in college probably. I didn't follow 10% rule, anything like that. I just slowly built up. I really don't remember what I did, if we're being honest, but I know I didn't follow any rules because I didn't know about them at that time. I wasn't very knowledgeable in the sport. I definitely wouldn't say I'm injury prone because I've only suffered one injury, and that was from basically just me not stretching and switching to a different shoe. Don't do that. Find a shoe that you like and stay with it. That's a tip from me. You can write that down. Switched to a different shoe and totally destroyed my calf and ended up giving me Achilles tendonitis issues. But yeah, building up mileage, just do it slowly. I definitely would follow the 10% rule or down weeks. I think that's super smart, especially if you are injury prone. But yeah, I basically just got lucky. Okay, this person says I'm 6'2", 200 pounds, mostly done gym, but switching into running in 2019. He wants to know, losing some weight, how could it improve 2-mile time? I definitely think losing some pounds can help you. I definitely... During the off season, I don't really care what I weigh, but during season, I definitely have a racing weight that I like to be around. I'm like 6 foot tall, 5'11", somewhere around in that range, and I like to be around 130 when I race, 135. That's basically what I hover around all the time. But off season, I can go up to probably the highest I've ever been is like 140 if I've ever been that high. But definitely racing, I like to be in between like 130, 135. Kind of down towards 130, but definitely losing some weight can help. The less weight you have to carry around when racing, the easier it's going to be on your body. So I think definitely losing a couple pounds can help you. How many summer 5Ks would you recommend doing? I personally don't do a lot. I did that one a few weeks ago just because I was in good shape and kind of wanted to see what I could run in the 5K. I do another one every summer, but it is to support my cross country team at my high school. So that's the only reason I do that one. But I do race in the summer. I do some half marathons sometimes. I would recommend hopping in a 5K before cross country season, so definitely at least one, just to kind of see where you're at going into cross country season. If I was to recommend something, that's what I would do. Joe asked, what do you think is the number one race strategy? Here is my personal number one race strategy for everyone. Don't go out too hard. Don't be the guy that goes out too hard and dies off. In all of my videos, you will see that I never lead the first lap of like a track race. You'll never see that I lead the first mile of a cross country race, because at the end of the day, the cross country race is 3.1 miles. Whatever you're running in track, let's say it's the 2 mile, it's a 2 mile race. It's not a 400-meter race. It's not a 1 mile race in cross country. So getting to that mile first in cross country doesn't mean anything. What matters is where you finish at the finish line. I'm a huge believer that almost everyone in high school goes out way too fast. It's something I've been personally taught and kind of been really good at for some reason, is pacing. I am pretty much the pace king. You can put that down. But I even split or negative split almost everything. And I'm really good in not going out fast, especially in, if you want a prime example, you can go to the Dream Mile race that I have on my channel. I was in last by probably like 5 yards the first lap and ended up coming in 10th that race out of like 21, I think. But people just go out way too fast, get way too excited, and I try to span that excitement over the whole 4 laps of a mile race. So that's my number one race strategy. Luke, he's actually the first person that ever said he watched my channel in person, so I appreciate this guy. He asked 2 questions. Do you think it's beneficial in terms of injury prevention to run on different surfaces? Because I mostly run on concrete. And he also put, do you have to do a certain amount of summer training for Akron, or is it up to you? So we'll start with the first question. Do I think it's beneficial to run on different surfaces? I personally don't. I run on concrete 24/7. Now, I know a lot of people that run on trails a ton because if they say they run on concrete, they get injured. I personally am not one of those people. What I do is I do a turf run or grass run. I'll go over to parks near my house, or I'll go up to the turf football field at my high school, and I'll run around there for a little bit just to get some softer surfaces in. So I definitely think it's beneficial to run on different surfaces every once in a while. But I mostly run on concrete too. But definitely throw in some different surfaces. Go to a local park or something. Jog around a few miles on the grass like once a week, twice a week. I think it can be beneficial. So training for summer, does Akron write me out a plan basically, or is it up to me? Akron will write me out a plan. I do not know it currently. But I am going up there here in like 3 days for my freshman orientation, and I'm hoping to sit down and kind of get that going. So yeah, it's not fully up to me. I know a lot of it is up to me, but there are some certain workouts and stuff like that that I do need to hit during the summer. Sarah asked, are you naturally fast? I've kind of answered this earlier. No, I'm not naturally fast. I definitely was never this quick. I definitely actually wasn't even this quick until senior year. This is the first year I've actually been somewhat decent at this whole running thing. If you want, you can go to my mile splits profile and kind of look up my PRs from every year and kind of see my progression if you want to do that. Ben asked, what do you suggest to improve your kick? Now, my kick is something that I think is pretty solid. If you guys have watched any of my track races that come down to the line, I hardly ever lose a kick. I did lose a kick at districts. That was actually my first kick I think I lost this year. But to improve kick, I do a lot of like strides after runs. I don't technically do a lot of speed work, but I definitely do some stuff after runs that can help. So stuff like fly 40s, strides after runs, 100-meter build-up sprints, stuff like that I think can really improve your kick. Brett asked, favorite workout? I'm a huge fan of any long workout, really. Long steady state runs. Over the summer, I'll do like 8-mile steady state runs. If you count the long run as a workout. I really enjoy the long run. I typically push the pace on the long runs, and I really enjoy them. I think I'm definitely a longer distance type of guy. So yeah, the long run's something I really enjoy, if that is what you would classify as a workout. If not, probably like a longer steady state run or like a long tempo or something like that. What is your go-to cross-country spike? Also, your go-to track spike? Basically, in cross-country and track, just run in whatever Nike shoe is out. In track, I run in the Nike Victories. In cross-country, I'm not even sure what they're called, but basically the Nike shoe that's out. I don't know what they're called. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. Hayden asks, what are your goals as far as running career goes, or times you want to achieve in certain distances? Now, this is kind of iffy for me because I'm not really sure because distances switch once you go to college, so I'm not really sure what I can run, but I would love to break 30 in the 10K by my senior year of college, and I would love to run low 14, maybe even break 14, who knows, by the end of college as well. I'm definitely going to focus on 5K and 10K in college. As far as cross country goes, I'm not really sure because it's 8K and I'm not really familiar with 8K. At least most races are. I know championship, once it comes down to that, like your regional meet and your national meet are 10K. But basically in cross country, I just want to be competitive. I want to be towards the front of those packs and stuff like that. Joseph asked, I haven't watched any of your recent videos because I've been watching them all in order, but how do you stay consistent mentally and race consistent times? I have a problem with consistency, such as I will go 4:58 in a mile in a random race and then 5:20 at districts, and from a 17-minute 5K to a 19-minute 5K. This doesn't happen often, but it's reoccurring. So I've never really actually thought about this. I've never really came across anyone that has problems with consistency. But for me, it's always been that if I always have like a breakthrough race, and after I have that breakthrough race, I'm kind of just consistent at that time. So basically, what I would say for you is it may be kind of a mental thing. You may need to just kind of forget about time for a little bit. Try to, just run your hardest, and whatever that is for that day, that's what it is. I think it could 100% be a mental barrier, and once you overcome it, it will go away and you'll be consistent. But definitely don't beat yourself up on it. I wouldn't worry anything about it. But yeah, I've never had a problem with consistency or anything like that, so I'm not really sure how to answer this question. Will ask, what pace should you be running on easy days? Also, do you know what events you'll be running in college? I want to run the 5K and the 10K in track in college. Basically, I'll actually run anything I can get in the race in. I just want to, be in the races, but definitely would prefer the 5K and 10K in track. Cross country, just hope to be, in that top 5 scoring. What pace should you be running on easy days? I'm not sure if he meant me or himself. For me, I basically just run whatever feels natural. If you're asking for yourself, I'm not really sure. I don't really know you. I've said that earlier on. To kind of get a rough estimate, I would say just a pace where you can hold a conversation would be the right pace for you. This person asks, what do your cross training days consist of? Now, I don't have a lot of cross training days. I've never really cross trained to ever. Basically, I either run or just take the day completely off. So I definitely don't cross train. If I do, I would probably bike or something like that. I'm not a really good swimmer, so I can't do that. But probably, yeah, bike or like play basketball with my friends or something like that. But I definitely have never cross trained before. Basically, just run or take the day completely off and relax. And then this is the final question. He asked, what is your diet like? Now, my diet is nothing crazy good. It's definitely solid, but it's nothing, I'm no vegan or anything like that. I was actually thinking about making a video of kind of a day in the eating of me. I've seen some other runners on YouTube do that, and I thought I would give it a shot. So if you guys do want to see that, I'll make a video on that. But as far as diet goes, I drink water and I eat pretty solid. I would definitely show you guys that. I think I will make a video on that, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, my diet's pretty solid. So that is basically all the questions. We're finally done. I think this video is super long. So if you did stay to the end, thank you guys so much for watching the whole thing. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much for 500 subscribers, and I hope to see you guys in future videos.